Okay, students, so the exercise that you have to do today is this HTML Lab 1. There is a link to it. If you look in your, on the, let's see if I, yeah, if you look on today's page, you'll see that there's a link there, which if you follow that link, that will bring you to this file here. And you open this file, it's got some instructions. It does tell you to open a folder in Z. I'm not too worried about exactly where you put that folder. You can put that folder anywhere you want. That is just a shared file. You could have a Dropbox folder, wherever you like. But the idea is that you're going to create a website. It's not just a web page, it's a website that's going to have multiple pages. And so the multiple pages is going to include an index page, which we're going to call welcome. I can't overemphasize this point. You really need to take a note of this point. The point being that if you're going to have a website, you should have a file which is called index.html. Your index.html file is your home page. We've called it welcome. Now, why do I say index.html is your home page? You can direct somebody to the folder where your website is, and that is all that's required for them to open that page. So index.html is a default in your browser that if it's directed to a folder, it will automatically open in the browser the index page without you having to specifically spell out the name of the file. So we use index a lot. Every website that you have should have an index folder, and the index folder should be in the root directory of your website. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, look, what I've done here is I've created a folder, and you need to do the same. So for today's work, I'm creating a folder called HTML Lab 1, and I just did that because if you look at our exercise, it's called HTML Lab 1. So I'm creating a folder called HTML Lab 1. Inside that folder, I've got some subfolders, one for images and one for other HTML pages. I don't really need that other HTML pages, probably, especially for such a trivial lab as this, or trivial website as this, but that's okay. Now, what I need to start with is I need to have an index.html page. You can see that there's no index.html page there. So I'm going to have to use my browser. Sorry, not my browser, my HTML editor. Now, what I'm going to do to save myself some work, and you should probably do the same, I recommend this is, look, you know, I don't want to memorize every little bit about how I'm doing my web. I'm trying to grab this rotten thing. So excuse me, too many windows open. Just trying to grab it and move it. Come on, there we go. All right, so maybe so that you can see it a bit better, I'm putting it in the center of the screen. But this is just an old exercise, exercise 2. And the thing is that what I want is I want the HTML in the middle. This other stuff, the body, I don't want that. So I'm highlighting that. I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going to do a save as, file, save as, and I'm going to make this my index file, but I need to make sure that I put it in the right place. So that's lab 1, and I'm going to put that and call that index.html. Lowercase, no uppercase. And so that's my file that I'm going to start working with. I need to, of course, change the title. Remember, the title comes up in the tab when it's processed by the browser. And is there any instructions here for the okay, website? So Khalid's Cars, let's just call it Khalid's Cars in the title. So instead of lesson 1 mark, I'm gonna call that Khalid's Cars. And there we go. I can save that with Control S. And so straight away I've got that. Now, if I want to check as I'm going, I can navigate to that page. There's the index page there. If I double click on it, don't actually see anything except for the title has come up, Khalid's Cars. And so I know, yeah, I'm going away. This is working fine for me. Happy with that. Let's go ahead and do the other parts of it. So we've got a welcome. The welcome page should have a bulleted list of products. Here's the list. I'm not going to type all that out because if I come on, problem is I'm editing the, there we go. So I've copied those, Control C. I'm just gonna drop that straight into my HTML in the body. And of course that's a mess, but you remember we did this yesterday. I can make a unordered list and, oops. And I can take that tag from there and put it at the end of that list somewhere. Paste it. Oh, geez, that didn't work. Control V. Yeah. So I've got my list there now. I had some problem with this yesterday doing the copying pasting on this. So what give myself a bit of room so I can see the end of the page. There we go. All right. So I hope you can see this. And it still doesn't come to the end, right? Supercars, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put this on a new line. Now that won't show up on a new line on the my gosh, it won't show up on a new line on the web page, but it's a new line here just so I can read it better. And so how would that look? So I will put a LI here. LI stands for list item, remember? It shouldn't be uppercase. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that and paste it to each of these lines where paste it across the dot. Paste there. Oh, that's interesting. Paste there and paste there. Sorry about my poor mouse control. And then, so what you see happening here is I've got list items. I'm sorry about the indents, so I'm gonna have to bring them back so they're all indented the same. But I've opened up those list items. I haven't actually closed any of them except the first one. If I copy this out, cut this out and put that on the end there. No, not there, here, right? So this item isn't complete until we get to the second line, right? Now this item here is going to be, this list item, the end is going to go on to each of these as well because they all end the same. All right, so that's kind of that. So now I should have a list item. I'm going to save that and see what I've got. Control S, go back to my my file manager and just look at the file. And so yes, I've got supercars, and that's a nice little list items is working there. We're not really, don't have much else going on in that website yet, but we've got that. All right, but because we're just following the instructions, one instruction at a time. And so back to the instructions. So speaking of instructions, there they are. Each product cover should have an accompanying image. And that's kind of tricky. How do we do an accompanying image with each of these, you know, and where are they going to go, etc. We'll just do it in the simplest way possible. So going back to the back to this, how could we do an accompanying image in each list item? So what we could do is we could put an image tag in there. All right, so I'll actually put it inside the list item. Tab that across, and I'm going to put an image tag in here. It's going to be a bit bad, but you know, just to get started. So we got an image tag, and the thing that we have to do in the image tag is we have to say, where is this file? And so we say source, and we say, where is the file? Now, we do this by relative addressing. So we have to say where it is. Now, this is another reason why I recommend to you that you use Visual Studio Code, because if I wasn't using Visual Studio Code, if I was using Notepad++, I would have to go and look and see where are these files and put the details in. But Visual Studio Code is quite an intelligent editor. It actually is able to look at my website and offer me these suggestions. Do you think that your image might be here in this images directory? Well, it might be. And in fact, I have already saved some images in that images directory. So if I was doing this with an editor like Notepad++, I would have to type this out specifically. And I don't have to, because because this very nice editor that I'm using, which is Visual Studio Code, is able to add some intelligence to it, right? So it's able to say, look, this is where that image can be found. And I could just close that tag, or I could do a little bit of styling to make it a little bit better, right? Say height 100, and I think I can do it like that. Maybe I have to say equal 100. Let's do that later. But yeah, we'll style that later. I'm just going to put the image in there for now, and I've saved that with a Control S. Go back and check my work by going into the folder, the file manager, and double click on that, and there I've got an image for the supercar. And of course I can change those images, but let's get that started there. We'll look at the changing of the image size in a minute. I think we did that last time. I'll come back to that because we have a limited amount of time on this. All right, so let's go and so that's the first thing. You need to do that for all of those. So put all of those in and put all of those images in. Now the images, how did I get the images? How you'll see is that if you look here, I've created an images folder, and there's a bunch of images in there, and I've put these images. All I did was Google the image that I wanted and then save it to that directory. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So supposing, let's get a search going here. So looking at my my Word file, the instructions. So I got supercars, luxury cars, luxury 4x4, and 4x4. Now I've got images for all of those except 4x4. So I'm just going to do a search on 4x4. When you do a search, you know, you can search specifically for images. So I'm going to search for images, and I'm just going to choose one of those images that I like. Yeah, okay. So what, I don't know what a Cooper is. Yes. Okay, so we got an Escalade. This is kind of a quintessential 4x4, isn't it? That's the Land Rover 110 or whatever. So I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to save that image, save image as, and it will come up asking me if I want to save it in the place where I saved my last lot of images. And of course, that's where I do want to save it. So I'm going to give it its name there, which is just 4x4, because other images have got their names. Now, when I check in here, you can see I've got my 4x4 image, my supercar, and that's how I did it. I did them all the same way, but they're all in the same directory, and I can link them up that way. So I'm not going to go and do all of those. You've seen them. I've seen how to do one. You can do the others. Let's look at the next bit of instructions, right? Each product card should have an accompanying image. The welcome page should have a link to the directions page. So that means we have to have a directions page. We don't have a directions page yet, so let's make one. So how I'm going to make the directions page is kind of same like we did before. I don't like typing this stuff out every time. So I'm going to do a save as, file, save as, and I'm just going to put it in the same place. Or maybe I'll put it in HTML pages, and I'm going to call it directions. And you might say, well, it's not directions, it's this other stuff. That's okay, we're going to edit it. There we go, directions.html. I now have in the, and so this one, I'm going to change it from Khaled's Cars to directions. It's actually the directions of the coffee house, right? Coffee directions. And it's not going to have a list in it. Get rid of that. And, but it is going to have an image of the directions. So I'm going to do the image again, src, and so I'm not sure why that didn't. There we go. So I had to say the ... means go back to the parent directory. So when I go back to the parent directory, it's then able to find the images directory, and I've got a coffee shop image there that I'm going to use on this. Okay, so now what it's asking me to do is somewhere, you know, and last time we did this in a nav tag, right? So let's do a nav tag. nav, and in the nav tag, how we do directions is we can use an A tag. So I don't think we've done this before, right? But a tag, and we can do a href. So with the href, you have to say where is the file that you want to look at. So this is going to be directing back to the root, and this is going to be there. It's going to direct to the index, but then I have to say what it is. So I'm going to say that it's, I think I put it's either a semicolon or a colon here, but I'm going to say, what is it? This is the home. And so what this should do is that should provide a link to go back to the home page. Let's go and see if that works. Control S. So you should check it every time as you go. I'll be honest with you, I haven't used an A tag for a while, and so I'm just not sure if I have to do a semicolon in between those. I might have to, but I think looks like I might get away with this, but I might be missing a semicolon. So let's just go back to this. This is the original page. So sorry, I should go to this one and go to the HTML pages, directions. And the directions is there, but does it have, and says coffee directions, does it have the link to the home? Don't see it. So I think I missed out that semicolon or something like that. I think it is a semicolon. Let's see. Quite possible I did this completely wrong. Let's see, I don't know. Let's see. I might have to do this after for you and put on the thing, but that's basically how it works. Let's see, back to that. And well, I can't see it, so I've done something wrong there. My apologies for that. I will get you the exact A tag. I mean, well, you're not going to be satisfied with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Google it, and not there. My apologies on this. So let's Google, but you know, this happens, right? So it's going to be an A tag and a href. So let's just look at exactly what how that is. I mean, if I was doing this at home, how would I do that? H tag W3 schools is an awesome reference for you. You should use this all the time. So don't be afraid to use that. And let's just look at the exact code and see what I've missed. So what I missed is I missed this. It wasn't the colon, it was that thing there. So yeah, okay. So a little bit of editing required on my part. So what I missed was this thing here is in the wrong place, not that. Okay, so now we've got it. So not too many A's. So now that should come up with a home in the right place. So we need to have that chevron there. There we go. So Control S, go back and have a look at that. See if it's now going to work for me. And no, well, it's actually above the image, but there's my home, and that takes me to the index. So we've got that working, but the thing is, I need one in the index that goes back to the other page. So let's go and do that. I'm going to have to go back and edit the image one. So where are you? Problem is I put this thing at the bottom here. So there we go. Back into my editor. I've got my directions page there. I should, I did a save as, didn't I? Okay, so let's go and open, and we should be able to find that by going up and go to the index page. So there's my index page. I need to have a, let's put it after let's do the nav. Now, it's not exactly needed like this, but yeah, it doesn't hurt. And then the A tag, and then href, and we're going to say where we're going to go this time, which is going to be to, I'm surprised that's not opening for me. So that's in HTML pages or something, right? There it is, HTML pages and directions. So what I missed the last time is you've got to put that greater than sign, and then we say to directions here. And that's going to give me my link that goes to the direction. So I should be able to toggle between pages. So from this page, I had to go up to the HTML pages directory, find the directions file, and then run to it. And this part here just tells me that's what's going to show up on the screen for my A tag. So let's have a look. Save this. Control S. Go to the directions, and not the directions. Well, I could go to the directions because directions should give me a link to go home, and now home gives me a link to go to directions. So I can toggle between them: home directions, home directions, home directions. And so I have proper nav working. One's working at the top of the page, one's working at the bottom of the page, but I have my nav working. And so now I'm going to just check if what else it has to do. All right, so we got our welcome page, we got our links going to them, driving directions, how to find Lola's Cafe. Yeah, okay, we got that. Directions page should have a link. That got done that. Now we need to have a style and the headings on both pages. I haven't got headings, have I? So we need to color the headings of the so I need to put a heading in, and then we need to have a background cover, and then we're going to be kind of finished. Now you're still going to have some work to do on this. So we got to have a heading. So in the body here, I'm going to put my heading here, and I will put it as a H1. So it's a big heading, and it's going to say Khalid's Cars. And then it said that I had to make the color some kind of color. What I can't remember that. Font attribute. Okay, it just says give it a color. So what color do you like? Let's go red. I mean, you know, everybody likes red, right? So we're going to give that a color of red. So I'm going to put that in the head with a style tag. So I put a style here. This is what we call internal styling. And what I'm going to say is, right, the H1, the heading, that's going to be red. So all I have to do is I type H1, I open up a curly brace, and then I say color, because this is color of a font. And you can pick a color from there. Isn't that cool, right? And you got red. There we go. And semicolon. So that's going to make that color red. I think there was something else that we had to do. Background color. Okay, so we're going to put a background color as well for the welcome page. So the welcome page, that would be the body of the page. So we're going to do the body, open a curly brace, and we want to have a background color. Now see the help that you're getting from Visual Studio Code. If you were just doing this in Notepad, it wouldn't be nearly as much help. This is why students tend to really like this one. I'm going to get a fairly light color, you know, like snow. Snow is not white, but it's kind of like that. So I've changed the background color to snow. Yeah, snow is fine. And save that, Control S, and then run that. Oh, well, yeah, I forgot about that. You can just run it from here. Then you can see, forget it. I like it this way. You can run it that way, but that's not. So going from the directions back to the home, I've got my snow background. I've got my red heading, and we've got a lot more work to do, and you guys can do the rest of that work on your own, I think. I think I got you started on that. Now, any other instructions in there? Let's see. Background color in the welcome page. Oh yes, we had to do, as we had to do for, let's go into, so we done this style bit here for the welcome page, but we haven't done it for the for the directions page. So I'm just going to copy it. Now, if you wanted there's another way of doing this, which would be to create a CSS file, and you will be learning about that in a later lesson. So what I'm going to do is just in the head here, I'm going to put that style in there. And so that we've got our red background, our snow background and our red color for the H1. But the thing is, we don't have a H1 yet, do we? So I better put H1 in there. And, you know, the nav should be in the body. And actually, just so that it's consistent with the other one, I'm going to put it below the image. So the nav is there, and we're going to have a H1 here. Tap that. Put a H1. And this H1 is going to be, it doesn't have to be H1, it could be anything else, but you know, I'm using H1. And this is directions to Lola's. Lola's coffee. And so save that, Control S, and go and have a look at what we've got. Still got a bit of work to do, haven't you, folks? But so we got our snow background, we've got our directions to Lola's, we've got our home here. We can do lots of things to make that nicer as well. There's a lot of work left for you guys to do, but that's more or less got you started. I can see that I've got like 10 minutes left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop recording for a second.